네, 안녕하세요. 저는 현재 한국에서 그린맥 제품에 대한 판매와 그리고 기술 지원을 담당하고 있는 김정수 과장이랍니다. 오늘 저는 여기 영국 본사에 와가지고 여러분께 공장 투어 영상을 한번 담아서 보여드리기 위해서 이 자리에 섰습니다. 옆에 계신 분은 스펜서 사우스홀이라고 현재 품질 관리를 담당하고 계신 분입니다. Hello, Spencer. Good to see you again.
Welcome, Jung-soo,
Okay.
to the UK, and welcome all to Greenmech UK. This is the head office for Greenmech wood chippers. Here we have the facility for producing all of the Greenmech wood chipper range, right through from design, right the way through to the finished product. And this afternoon you'll have the chance to see all of the processes which go into making the Greenmech wood chipper range.
Okay, I can hardly wait.
Great.
Okay.
Look forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
So here we have the design office, which is where all of the machines are designed and thought of from the start before obviously we even think about producing anything. So if you have a look on, has somebody got something open? You see here, we use SolidWorks as our design program. So you can see here we've got a design of the machine on the screen. So everything here is done on the screens, designed through the program before obviously feeding the information out to the factory. What we'll do now is we'll take a walk through the factory to the start of the process, and then we'll walk right the way through showing you how a machine is cut, folded, fabricated, painted, assembled, and then ultimately ready for dispatch. Right. So this is the start of the process. So all of the material, once they've designed it in the design shop, is fed through to the computer here. This then feeds it to our laser cutting machine, and this will cut out all of the individual parts and components that we need to build the Greenmech machine. Hopefully you should see. Once we have all of the flat components, some of them obviously have got to be bent into various different shapes, like so. So what we will do, using one of the presses, we'll take the flat So we'll take the flat components and we'll basically fold them again to the requirements. And you see there what he's doing, he's operating and producing the folds on there. So what he's starting with is this, and he's finishing with this. From the folded and the flat components, what we then have to do is bring all of those together to make up the various fabrications of the product. So that could mean jig, putting the components into a jig, or freehand. Before then they're welded by operators to actually weld those components together. Here we go. So what we'll start off with is all of the various flat components or folded components to ultimately end up with something like this. You can see here what he's doing is carry on stuff. What he's doing here is obviously once all the components are loaded, he's then welding them up. We currently have 18 welders on site, all done by men, no robots. It's all guys like that welding with a MIG welder. One of the main features, and obviously the business end of our machines, is obviously the flywheel. This is what does the actual wood chipping, and you'll see here what we have are the starts of our main flywheel. So these are the blanks before we then add blades and shafts to the actual flywheel, all different sizes depending on which model of machine. What we then do is we take the blank and we add in the blade pockets and also the main shaft into the actual flywheel blank.
So this is actually assembling.
This is actually welding and assembling all of the components together to end up with a completed flywheel. Once we have the completed flywheel, obviously what we have to then do is balance it to make sure that when it is rotating, that it is nice and true and spinning freely. So what we have here is this is a finished flywheel with all the blades and everything ready to go. Mounted into the machine, we will then spin this up and make sure that it's weighted correctly. If it isn't, then we'll adjust it to make sure that it is completely balanced.
So once the wheel is not perfectly balanced, then how are you going to manage to add the weights, or how do you manage to make a perfect balance?
So we can shave, or we can add little bits of weight to it that we require depending on where, to make sure that flywheel is. Yeah. I don't know where. We've got any on here? If we could, there's one small one here. So where we've added a small weight in there. So it's a bit like balancing a car wheel. Same idea. We're also able to offer a sharpening service. So the disc blades, which are a little bit they are unique to Greenmech. For those people that want to have that sharpening service, we offer that here at Greenmech. So what he's done here is he's weighed the blade and he's written in grams the weight of the blade. Obviously, doing all the balancing of the flywheel, that is only good then as long as the blades are also matched. So what you'll see here is packs of 4, and you can see that the weight is exactly the same for all 4 blades. So when we put those onto a flywheel, we know it is going to be perfectly balanced, and that's what he's doing there.
Right.
Thanks, Jeff. So all welding bays. This is all welding shop, all fabrication, yes. All of these bays here, all of the bays are all fabrication. Yep. So once all the fabrications have been completed, obviously they come out to this holding area in their raw state. So this is just the raw metal. You'll see they're lined up in the week number in which they're going to be produced, the line or the assembly line which they're going to go onto, and then ultimately what colour those parts need to be. From here we will then take them into our paint processing plant where they will get cleaned and ultimately then painted. So in here we have our treatment plant. So we have 2 ways of treating the material. Shot blasting, and we use either our automatic shot blaster where we load all the small components onto a carriage into the machine, and that will automatically shot blast the product. The other shot blaster is in here, which is what we call the manual shot blaster, and this is where all of our bigger components are dealt with. So it's basically a man inside there with a gun, and what he's doing is he's shooting small metal balls at very, very high pressure against the metal to obviously clean it and to give it a key ready for painting. Once it's been shot blasted, this is what it looks like. Fairly rough surface, giving it a good key for the paint to stick to it. So here we have our paint process. We here do everything powder coating. Obviously once they've loaded everything on the track, it's wheeled into the main paint area, and what you will see here is the powder being applied to the metal. Once the powder has been applied to the metal, it will then be wheeled into the main oven where the powder will be baked onto the metal. The process that we use is a two-part process, so clean, then we apply a primer, and then we'll apply a top coat. When obviously the paint has been applied, it's fed into the large oven. The paint is then baked so that it bakes it onto the metal to give you its final finish. We primer and then we top coat, and we can top coat in any colour. It's a good place to stand if you're cold. Oh, yeah. It's nice and warm. Yeah. So once obviously all of the fabrications have been painted, they then come out to our holding area here. You'll see here a 1928 Safe Track complete chassis ready to go onto our assembly line. So obviously the product isn't just built up of Greenmech fabrications, there's a lot of other components which go onto the machine. So these are our main store, assembly stores, where everything comes in, again, before it's picked, ready to go onto the assembly line. So what we do from the stores then is we do what's called a picking cart. So you'll see here, I know that that's going to be an Evo 165, quantity 1. It will be a week 2 build, and it's going on to line 6 of the assembly line. So everything on these cut trolleys will include all of the other additional items that we need to build the Greenmech product. So bearings, housings, lights, all the sort of bought-in components. So when the assembly line is ready, they will come and take the cart that they need, and obviously the finished fabrications ready to go onto the assembly line. So what we have here is our main assembly line. So we have 1, 2, 3 stations, and they can be building any product at any time. It just depends what's on the build plan, and the guys here are normally 3 per station, and they will build the whole machine from start to finish, and that's all done on these 3, and you can see various machines in various stages of construction. So we have a couple of little sub-assembly areas, so we make up some of the bigger components ready, then they can just be bolted straight onto the machine. Here you'll see we're doing the in-feed flaps. So we have a sub-assembly area here, and then if you see when we walk through here now, we've got one doing engines and one doing chipper chambers. Again, big assemblies that we can just bolt straight onto the machines when they're ready. Same with engines, we can just lift that engine and drop it straight into the chassis. There's a lot of fiddly little things that need to be done to the engine, which are much easier when it's in that than it is actually bolted into the machine. So everything here is our holding area for final inspection. So every single machine that comes off the production line has a full inspection and quality check before it actually leaves the factory. So we will test everything, we'll check it all for quality, but also as part of that, there is a certain legal stuff that we have to do, testing, so that it's safe to be used on the road. And this is conducted here. So we'll check measurements, weights, making sure that the machine is running correctly. Every single machine that leaves the production line is run and checked for operation. We don't put timber through the machine, but we do run every machine up to make sure that all of the controls are working, start, stops, everything is working as it should do. And we run them for about an hour. About an hour, yeah. Everything that is this side is ready for dispatch. So what will happen here is some will be dispatched by our own transport, some will be dispatched on a lorry. This here you see we've got a crate, so we will load a machine into a crate if it's going abroad, container, so we ship in all different ways. But everything, yeah, this side here, you see machines that we've wrapped, ready for dispatch. And then obviously they'll go out to dispatch and be dispatched all over the world. So 31 countries now that we export out to. Obviously, once the machines have left Greenmech and they're going out to the various customers and dealers, obviously we need to support that product. So we have a full after sales department. This one is the spare parts. So anything that you need spare parts wise for any of the Greenmech machines, we manage that through our spare parts department here.
So all the spare parts are dispatched from here.
All dispatched from here, yes. Yeah.
저는 여기까지 이렇게 공장 투어를 마쳤습니다. 여러분들께 그린맥 제품에 대한 궁금증이 조금이라도 풀려지는 그런 시간이 되었기를 바랍니다. Thank you, Spencer, for your help.
Been a pleasure, Jung-Soo. Obviously, we've come to the end of the story of the production of Greenmech wood chippers. We hope you've enjoyed it and found it very, very useful, as do any of the viewers for this video. And obviously, we welcome you back to the UK at any time.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.